So I've heard you talk before about the different paradigms that we've experienced in our culture regarding religious studies. When Houston Smith was writing, he's under the assumption that all religions are really just the same thing at the end of the day. We're in a different paradigm. Differences are emphasized. So we're not just assuming that everyone's religion is really just mine in a different suit. So I'm wondering if you could speak to what you think are the benefits and if there are any drawbacks to the paradigm that we're in right now, what those might be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the dangers of focusing on how similar we are is, like you said, dressing up someone else's religion to look like mine, and misunderstanding what's going on in someone else's religion by not feeling like you have to stretch yourself. I think it can be a really useful tool if a person or a community is new to pluralism. I think that seeing how similar we are is really beneficial, and I think to some degree we all have to meet people who are different than we are, whether it's different looking, different practicing, different sounding, or different voting than we are, and just say, like, okay, I acknowledge the humanity behind you because I'm not a football player or a cheerleader, I'm a sci-fi nerd, and I acknowledge the humanity of football players and cheerleaders, or whether it's, whatever it, even if it's trivial, we still have to get into other people's humanity because we still class people off as being other too easily. So I can see that as having a benefit. I personally like the shift to talking about our differences in the same way that in the United States we moved from a melting pot to a patchwork quilt. So there are people who need that lesson in similarity. Now that we've done that lesson in similarity, now let's make things different again. I think it's a shift to showing the reasons why our religions need, like, why my religion is nourishing to me and why other people's religions aren't nourishing to me. And I think it can be really hard to express that in a loving way, because when we start talking about it like, what's wrong with my religion? Well, nothing's wrong with your religion. Well, if my religion is basically the same as your religion, then you should just be my religion. My things are great. Why don't you like my things? Or, to shift out of religion, my ideas are great. My assumptions are all correct. Why don't you think like me? When we are able to praise and acknowledge the differences, then we're able to say, oh, now I see what you get out of your religion. You reflect light through a diamond. It glitters and is reflected in beautiful ways. If you were to file all the edges of the diamond smooth so that it's round, it does not reflect in the same way. So in order to reflect what I would term God's light, we have to have really sharp edges and distinctions between us. My religion, my culture, the expectations are very different than other people's. And I want to bring out those differences because now I've added different food to the buffet. Now our things are richer because instead of just having the same 7 ingredients rearranged in creative ways, I've now added a new 7 ingredients to the table. And so now I've expanded my buffet and there's more richness. For people who are not already on board that we're all really people and that everybody's religions come from a basic humanity and a few basic assumptions that unite people, if they miss that lesson entirely, it stops being different and starts being foreign. It stops being rich and starts being threatening. And it sort of feels like we have to walk that line really carefully. We have to really go back and start with the idea of humanizing the other, and that I can't make these broad assumptions about everybody, but that we have to remind people that there is a sameness, whether we pray to the same God or not. What about people who don't have a concept of God? We certainly can't sit and define what atheists worship, because that's just doing injustice to those traditions. But to start with some of the similarities of, how does it make me feel? What does it do for me? Commitment to something larger than myself. Even if the things that are larger than me are ideals about humanity, ideals about government, when we focus on those kinds of things, that opens people up to being able to, I think, appreciate the differences.